I listened to Klim Zhukov. It's a writer and historian with university education. He didn't finish his full education, baccalaureate, or I don't know how to call it. But he is real historian. He studied history, etc. So he is, let's say, not communist, but he is pro-communist, and he is representative of intelligentsia. We have here this new airport in Tobolsk city that, and the administration of the city wanted to name the airport after some person, and one of the persons was the Yermak, Kazakh, not Kazakh, but Kazakh who conquered Siberia in times of Grozny, I think, Ivan the Terrible. Yeah, Ivan the Terrible. And this name of Yermak was excluded from the list of the names that airport can be called. Why? And Klim Zhukov describing why exactly. What is nationalism and what is the problem with nationalism today? Because it's like there is the same problem that in USA right now. In USA, African American population and Latino population is something around, well, at least the numbers that I remember, it's not correct maybe, but something like 13 of the African American people and some around the 5-7% of the Latino population maybe. I can be wrong, of course. That's not the point. In Tobolsk, there are 16% of Tatar population, Tatarians. And they can be, as it stated, why the name of Yermak was excluded. It stated that Tatars can be offended by the name of the man who conquered the Siberia and therefore, like, let's say, murdered their ancestors. Something along those lines. So you understand the problem. The problem is the same that with BLM today. Say nothing bad about black people because they can be offended, because slavery and stuff. And when people today is trying to blame me in supporting of BLM in comments and call me a liberal, it sounds like, I don't know how much stupid, what level of stupidity it must be, and what kind of the bad argumentation you must have to call someone that standing 100% against liberalism and the BLM movement, call them liberal and BLM supporter. That's stupid. But that's not the point. The point is that why is this all happening? And Klim Zhukov pretty much simply explained. The nations as we know it did not exist until the moment from 16th to 19th century. And this is the nation, creation of the nations was caused by capitalism, because only capitalism could bunch people together. There is no such concept as a nation outside the big and very global, to be fair, as many Americans afraid afraid of globalism, but outside the globalism, nationalism can't exist, because globalizational processes connect people together, and American mentality of cognitive dissonance, when I don't care about anyone but my own ass, but we are the strongest nation in the world, which is absolutely opposite concepts. It's pretty much showing how this things works. But what the purpose of this exclusion of the name of Yermak from the list that airports of Tobolsk can be called? It's simple. It's nationalism. What is Nazism? What is nationalism? It's pretty simple. We are the nation. We are the strong, etc., 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 as a nation. But in times of big crisis, elites and government can't explain people why they become more and more poor, get less and less goods, and can afford less and less. But there is pretty simple explanation in nationalism. Blame Jews, blame China, blame Muslims, blame Indians, blame black people, blame Mexicans, blame Canadians, blame Russians, blame Europeans, blame migrants, blame anyone. Choose the name. Choose the name. Don't blame us. Blame them. It's their fault. It's not our fault. We are the perfect. We are the greatest in the world. We are the greatest nation on the planet. And therefore, we are, and going from this, we do not make mistakes at all. It's all their fault. Who goes there, it absolutely does not matter in this context. And what do you do by creating BLM movement, Antifa, modern Antifa movement in United States? What you doing with this all LGBT communities, African Americans groups of freedom, or say something along those lines, maybe Latin American groups, I don't know, and mention that no Chinese people involved in this mess. You always offend China. You always hate China. USA, American citizens hate China. Well, let's say conservative part of, no, not conservative. Both parties hate China for everything. And Chinese do not get offended by anything. In the same time, blacks get offended, Latin American get offended, LGBT get offended, women get offended, men get offended, etc., 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 Jews, Muslims, etc. And this is all created to make people fight each other instead of fighting the real cause of the problem, the system itself. And first step would be find the one who really to blame. For example, rich people, government, I don't know, maybe elite of the world or elite of the country. People who taken away all the money and group them on the bank accounts of their corporations or private bank accounts, and this money is simply sitting there and do nothing, while people getting poorer and poorer and poorer and can afford less and less. And of course, the people with brain always asking, what the fuck is going on? Why I'm throughout my life, throughout my generation, I getting less and less and less, and I'm still working pretty hard. It's not that yesterday I worked hard and today I work less. therefore are getting less. No. In most of situations, as I described this, I posted this on mine, but the one problem is that father could support the family in 50s and 60s, and the wife could be stay-home housewife in 50s and 60s. Since 70s, some of women should work. In the same time, black people, they of course worked before, but they get in right now bigger salaries, and the same situation happened there. Wife also had to work. So the workforce is raised, and professional workforce, specialists, because many black people today are normally educated, have good education, at least decent education. And in the same time, the growth of productivity from I forget which year of what. Well, let's say this doesn't matter. It's the second half of the century. In the second half of the century, productivity growth was 74 or 76% productivity growth. It means that you're doing less, but with less effort, you're doing more, you're producing more stuff, and you can do more. Let's say, used to you have hammer and screwdriver. Today you have a whole bunch of tools that you can use and do the same job in minutes that used to took you, hour. For example, it's pretty simple example. Something that you could done in 100 minutes, today you can do in, let's say, 23 minutes. Cool? Of course, cool. It's like three-fourths of the twice. Three-fourths of the twice. It's a lot. Used to you produced 4 bolts, let's say. Today you produce 7 bolts. Cool? Cool. Can you get the same? Can you get more for these bolts? Of course you can. But in reality, when you looking closer, you produce 7 bolts, but get paid for 5. 13%. I think it was certain. Again, it's not absolute. My memory is bad, so it's not absolute numbers. Something along those lines, like, or maybe even more. Sorry, 90%. It was, yeah, productivity growth something like 90%, and wage growth was something like 20 or 30. Well, the difference was something along the lines of 76%. But the situation goes as follows, more or less. You produced 4 bolts, today you produce 7 or 8 bolts, but you get paid for 5. For you as a worker, nothing changed. All money for these extra 3 or 2 or 3 bolts goes directly in the pockets of the owner, of your boss. You get nothing for this, but you're doing this job. You're still doing this job. You're producing this job. And it absolutely does not matter which part of the workforce you took, blue-collared workers or white-collared workers. It doesn't matter. Productivity growth do not match the wage growth. and do not match for as much as 75% or something along those lines. It's not exact numbers. 70%. 70%. You lost as a worker 70%. That is why that the level standard of living that used to was supported only by father in family, today even working father and mother not always can support the same level of the same standard of living, and most of the time both forced to work. You can't easily become a stay-home wife or housewife. I don't know how to say it. That is why this situation is happening. It's easy as rich people, corporations, government, through government, not government itself, but through government, keep the money in their pockets, kept extra money in their pockets, not mid-sized business or not mid-sized business, not small business, not middle-class people. No, only very rich people and corporations. That's what is financial inequality, or I don't know how to say it. Financial inequality means. And that is essence of capitalism. It's not corporatism or something along those lines. No, capitalism always worked like that. And what I started from, today, when some people ask question, why the hell my father worked less or as much as I am, but get more money. Today I'm earning more money, working same amount of time, but can afford twice less than my father for his salary. I don't know the inflation level, but situation goes as follows. Today you can afford twice as less as your father in 50s and 60s. Only father could support whole family of 3, 4, 5. And today people asking what the fuck is going on? Why I can afford twice as less as my father? What the hell is happening? Where's the good old times? I want good old times back. This whole situation with nationalism, good old times, make America great again, etc., etc. It's this situation. People demand that things get back to where it used to. And they can't understand the problem because nationalism causing all these problems. It's not the problem of, it's not the financial inequality. No, of course not. It's a terrible white man who stolen our money, give us more rights, or straight cis scam who stolen our money, let's kill them, or let's hate them, or it's all fucking dirty niggers, or fucking dirty Mexicans, or all those Chinese, or Jews stole our money, or Muslims are taking over because they like roaches, they simply breeding and they taking away our jobs. No one cares in America that most of the jobs taken in reality by Indians. Does someone hate Indians in the United States? Of course not. It's all Muslims. Of course, it's only Muslims to blame. because India is a lie, is a friend. And the same situation happening with this Yermak renaming, as Zhukov said. When you need someone to blame, it's pretty simple. Look, those Russians want to name airport in the name of oppressor. How dare they? Hate them. They killed your ancestors some 500 years ago. Or let's look at the situation vice versa. Look, those Tatars, those dirty bastards, they don't want to name of our hero, our Russian truly hero, as the name of the airport. Let's kill them all. Let's hate them. The same situation. Nothing changed, but simply you need to reverse it in the manner that benefits you personally. And people already hating each other. Our hero we must call an airport in the name of our hero who conquered Siberia. From other hand, this man killed my ancestors. How dare they call this airport in his name? No, they are not. And simple as that, by simply, how to say it, snatch of the fingers, people hating each other. National question, nationality, nationalism started to rise. Tatarian nationalism, Russian nationalism, or Chechen nationalism, or Ukrainian nationalism. The same shit happened over and over. The people have no say in this question. All decisions make at bigger level, just as with American BLM, just as with American Antifa ruling people, not the basic level people, how to say it, boots on the ground, not the boots on the ground. There can be very different people. There can be truly faithful anti-fascist people who really think that there is fascism, and there is fascism in the USA, but that's a whole another question. Or there can be provocateurs. But the top of this organization, of course, getting their decisions from the same center as BLM, as nationalist parties like Republican Party, or these Proud Boys, or LGBTQ community, or I don't know, choose the name of it. Even Muslim organization have same decision makers that exist in other groups. They simply want you to fight in each other. They simply want to blame each other instead of blaming the real cause of the problem. And while you fighting each other, they are still getting rich. And they're sharing, instead of sharing with you, this wealth with you, what Russian Revolution made capitalists do? Share with working people part of their wealth. Rich people and corporations was forced to share their wealth, to share their extra money with workers. That's where your rights came from Russian Revolution, not from Constitution, from the fear of capitalists that people could rise up and make a revolution against them. And they don't want this situation to happen. But today there is no real alternative to capitalism, because everyone, including left American population, they are not socialists. They are 100% capitalists. what they really want is that rich people, corporations, government was forced by some mechanisms to share their wealth with them, to recreate the middle class people and restore the wealth levels for working people. And they don't want to, this all BLM, LGBTQ, Proud Boys, Democratic Party, Republican Party, doesn't matter. Every group, anti-fascist included, Muslims, etc., they do not fight for the rights of the working people. No, they fight for the rights of the upper middle class people. They want that rich corporations share with these tiny, let's say not tiny, but pretty small layer of the American population. It's not about the rights of the common people. It's not about the rights of the hard-working people. It's not about your rights, and it's not about anything else but share with us or else. It's not socialistic. It's not communist, and have nothing to do with that, but have all to do with this divide and conquer strategy. More groups would hate each other, the better for the government, elite, rich and corporations, because people would be not interested in fighting with them. Instead, they're going to be fighting with each other. And that's the brilliant, beautiful position for American elite to be in. They not suffer anything, any losses. People simply killing each other in the streets. This is what nationalism. When you force some group of people to believe that they are better than anyone else, and on these conditions, therefore, someone else is to blame. Not the elite of the country, not the government, not the politics, not the rich and corporations, especially not them. Of course not. Or like American have this cognitive dissonance. Successful Americans, they are absolute 100%, you can't touch people. But the corporation consists of these successful people is pure evil. And this sounds logical for Americans. That's simply blowing my mind. But that's another question. And this is what true nationalism is. Divide and conquer. That's it's not that I can explain good or I have this charisma to explain or convince people in something, but I do my best to explain things as simple as possible. I can't, of course, do that, but still, I try. Don't judge me too much, I'm trying. And Zhukov is right. I don't really like this guy. He is typical bourgeois person who thinks that he is for everything good against everything bad. But he very good educated historian. He is professional. I can judge. He's saying everything is absolutely correct. These whole movements, American BLM, Antifa, Proud Boys, Muslim organization, Latin American minority groups, etc., including Democratic Party, small organizations, Republican Party, small organizations, hold this bunch of Green Party, Social Democratic Party, etc., everything This whole thing is about divide and conquer and nothing else. Just as with this very simple example about airport name. Who the fuck cares what happened 500 years ago? It absolutely doesn't matter. Not only that, Yermak simply could not kill enough of people to make a difference. He could not conquer whole Siberia because he had like some like 600 people with him, and he like conquered whole Siberia and killed all the Tatars. That's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. Not only that, when Yermak conquered Siberia, there was no Russian nation. There was no Russian nation, there was no Tatar nation. There was no Tatars at all. And the same shit happens with this, with American, in America. Of course, Americans can't understand this concept because they are part of this propaganda machine that from the mother's milk convinced them that we are number one, America is fucking great and fucking fuck you all. And the Americans blame everyone who propaganda provide them. Muslims, Chinese, white cis male, or white supremacy, or black, dirty welfare assholes, or Chinese, or Jews, or Muslims. I think I already said Muslims, but fuck it. And Americans, this process is going on in every country today, everywhere in the world. Europeans blame migrants. Migrants, Jews, Muslims, the same pretty much, plus Russians. Ukrainians, everything bad in Ukraine, it's because some 100 years ago, communists conquered Ukraine. And since then, they can't get over it. Like, I lost words. Logical. Everything bad in Ukraine now, it's because 100 years ago. The same mentality today in United States.